Coming up, police say a woman stole an ambulance and then went on a joyride.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A Kentucky woman is facing numerous charges after police say she stole an ambulance that was from Wayne County and took it on a wild ride through downtown Lexington. It happened Sunday night. Several people say the ambulance nearly hit them. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to them and has more on what could have been a tragedy.
A crosswalk with the light showing that it was safe to cross, or so they thought.
We felt like a rush of air, and it was really loud, like a car going by. And then we turn around and look down Euclid, and there is an EMT swerving into the bike lane.
The ambulance almost hit them, and they say that it was out of control.
And that gurney was on it, about to roll out of the back.
The friends believe they were almost the tragic victims of an ambulance stolen from St. Joseph East in a joyride that started there and ended at a Walmart across town.
We're pretty lucky in how close we were, how close of a call it was.
It took a crew that we desperately need, out of circulation, and also the ambulance too, which, after even the ambulance was drivable, then we got it back, it still had to be taken down and inspected.
Police say that Jerica Hayes ignored a bunch of traffic rules, ignored stop signs and traffic lights, went the wrong way down one-way streets, and almost hit a bunch of people from here at the hospital all the way through Lexington and also at the Walmart there on New Circle Road. Hayes is now charged with a half-dozen offenses, including theft and wanton endangerment.
Yeah, she didn't even honk. The only honk we heard was the lady that was turning, who pulled over and asked if we were okay.
Wayne County EMS officials say the ambulance was checked over and should be back in service by Tuesday. In Lexington, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The Wayne County EMS director says they are installing anti-theft devices on their vehicles to prevent this from happening again. 2 people charged with murder in connection to the death of a toddler in Whitley County will be back in court next week. This morning, both Brittany Slaughter and Adam Hayes entered not guilty pleas. The bond for both is $500,000. The body of 4-year-old Chloe Darnell was found in the woods by a cemetery on Friday. Both Slaughter and Hayes are set to be back in court next Monday. A Laurel County deputy was injured in a chase with a suspect over the weekend. 37-year-old Christopher Bowling faces multiple charges, including wanton endangerment, fleeing, and resisting arrest. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says the deputy was responding to a report of a stolen truck. They say when the vehicle was spotted, Bowling ran, leading to a scuffle with the deputy down an embankment. The deputy injured his leg. He was treated at the hospital and released. Since the beginning of the month, we have seen more than 250 forest fires across the Commonwealth. And as of earlier today, there were no active fires. Kesley Baker, the wildfire mitigation specialist with the Kentucky Division of Forestry, shared some of the numbers with us. Since November 3rd, Baker says nearly 34,000 acres have burned in Kentucky. But even with the flames out, there's still some work to be done.
We often go back and rehab our fire lines and make sure things are still looking good. So yeah, we have several acres to cover now as far as, I guess, rehab work.
Of course, the rain tonight and tomorrow should help the situation even more. Along with the 28 Kentucky fire crews working to contain the flames, crews from Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Minnesota, Texas, and Arkansas all made their way in to help as well.
We are tracking showers and breezy weather to increase across the region as we go into your Monday night. Also on Tuesday, up on first alert pinpoint Doppler this evening. Most of us are dry, but we are tracking a few showers in the Cumberland Valley, zooming into portions of Wayne County, also into Pulaski and Rockcastle counties. A few showers there. Also tracking a few showers close to McKee and Jackson County, also just to the north of London and Laurel County as well. But again, for most of us right now, we are dry. But as we zoom out, some more widespread showers over Tennessee, also Mississippi and Alabama, and that weather system will continue pushing into our region as we go into tonight also for the first half of your Tuesday. And those winds right now for some areas already gusting up to 21 for Pikeville, also London, 20 over in Harlan, and more breezy weather and more gusty winds on the way into tonight also on Tuesday as well. Temperatures at this hour in the middle to upper 50s and a few lower 60s, and we fall into the upper 40s and lower 50s as you wake up on Tuesday. And again, a soggy, also breezy night is on the way. We could see winds upwards of 30 miles per hour at times and more showers on the way for your Tuesday, but we are tracking some improvements in that forecast by Wednesday also for Thanksgiving. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. The Department of Transportation says there will be an improvement from the problems that plagued holiday travel last season. But the DOT is also warning of bad weather in parts of the country this week. WYMT Washington Bureau reporter Brendan Cullerton shares how the Biden administration is working to improve travel.
The Department of Transportation says nearly 32,000 flights were canceled last December alone. But this time around, it will be easier to get over the river and through the woods. Department of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says flight cancellation numbers have dropped compared to 2022, when delays and cancellations soared during the holidays.
Winter weather may challenge airlines in the next few weeks, but so far, 2023 has seen the lowest cancellation rate in the last 5 years at just 1.3%. It's much lower than last year. It's lower even than before the pandemic.
The FAA expects about 50,000 U.S. flights on Wednesday alone. They are opening some restricted airspace normally reserved for military on the East Coast for Thanksgiving travel. They have also coordinated with the commercial space industry to ensure no launches are scheduled.
We will be working around the clock to make sure passengers get to their destinations safely. These initiatives lessen inland volume and reduce delays.
If your flight is canceled, Buttigieg wants you to know that major airlines now have policies in place to reimburse you.
Now, almost all of them guarantee hotels and ground transportation, and all of them guarantee covering meals. So that is real money back in the pockets of travelers in America.
The DOT is encouraging travelers to reach out if airlines are not following delay or cancellation protocol. In Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
The state of Kentucky is upgrading its vehicle information database, but the transition may cause some issues. Vehicle services will be suspended starting January 1st, and that could last up to 10 business days. The state says there may also be delays when services resume. Vehicle and boat registration renewals, titling and transfers, disabled parking permits, and license plate services will all be unavailable during that time. If you have to renew your registration in December, you're encouraged to do so early. School officials are working to improve kindergarten readiness across the state. A report from the Kentucky Youth Advocates show fewer students were prepared for this school year compared to the 2017-18 school year. Roy Jefferson Principal Derek Allen says COVID has impacted a lot of students coming into the school year prepared. He says it's important to work with your child hands-on while limiting technology.
Technology is awesome, and we live in a technological age. But with everything, you also want hands-on activities. You want students to touch and feel things and experience things. You can't always just watch a video or play an activity online. And those things are great. I'm not diminishing those in any way. But you want to experience the world too. So I think hands-on activities, reading a book with your child, things like that always help.
Allen says they will work with other organizations to help improve those numbers. To read the report for yourself, you can find this story on our website. A Knox County and soon to graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy returned home today. Leanna Osborne visited Knox Central High School, where she graduated from in 2019. Osborne shared with students her experiences so far, as well as her plans for when she graduates.
I was service assigned to surface warfare. I'll be a surface warship officer, SWO, and I'll go and I'll do a 6-week-long training, and then ultimately I'll attach to some sort of surface platform.
Osborne says she'll then serve on her first tour, but she's unsure when or where that will be. She will graduate in the spring of 2024. The One Church of Eastern Kentucky Thanksgiving dinner is on the schedule for Thursday, offering a free Thanksgiving dinner to those in need. The 7th annual event is larger than ever, spanning 3 counties and filling the Appalachian Wireless Arena with food. Organizers say it is the event they work hardest for every year to give back to the community.
It's grown steadily throughout the years. I remember when we started, we were shooting for 6,000 or 3,000 when we first started. And then it's grown to 6, and then 7, and then we went to 10, and then 12. And this year we're shooting for 17,000 people in Eastern Kentucky to feed.
Volunteers are still needed. Anyone who wants to lend a hand can show up at the arena in Pikeville around 7:30 a.m. Thanksgiving Day. Tonight, we continue to remember former First Lady Rosalind Carter. She died yesterday after a battle with dementia at the age of 96. Her work with Habitat for Humanity brought her and former President Jimmy Carter to Eastern Kentucky 26 years ago. An organizer who worked with Mrs. Carter shared with Jessica Umbro what it was like to know the country's former leading lady.
She was so active in everything he did. It's kind of like the hard work and brains behind the power. That was Rosalind.
Former First Lady Rosalind Carter was known for being hands-on in Washington.
I like to know what's going on. Jim has always involved me.
It wasn't always obvious what she was doing because she was quiet, but you knew if she appreciated it and liked it, he did too. She would be nudging him and she'd ask questions.
And when it came to brainstorming how to tackle Kentucky Habitat for Humanity's 1997 project in Eastern Kentucky, she was hands-on as well.
We just took a white piece of paper and drew the state of Kentucky and the state of Tennessee and put stars where the towns were, you know. But she was right in there, you know, looking at stuff, helping out.
It was a level of involvement that went beyond the planning process.
They always built a house with President Carter's team of people, you know, his volunteers. But my wife had this idea that we ought to do a First Lady's house.
1, 2, 3, heave!
I think that's one thing that's good about doing this with all women, because it shows that women can do this kind of thing. And if women like to build, I think they should build as a profession.
And it was a working relationship with Hannah and his wife that extended into a friendship.
That's just a Christmas card they sent us.
A friendship that allowed for a closer look at a public figure that millions knew of, but not nearly as many had the opportunity to truly know.
It just very quickly, she warmed up to people and you could warm up to her. And she's just very, very special in that way.
In Lexington, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
A series of public and private events memorializing former First Lady Carter will be held in Georgia before she is buried at the home she shared with former President Carter since 1961.
President Biden pardons 2 turkeys, sparing them from serving as someone's Thanksgiving dinner and continuing a holiday tradition. I'm John Decker at the White House. I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, we are tracking soggy and breezy weather overnight. Your first alert forecast after this break.